Well, hello there, my little goldies, and welcome back to Sharon's Sanctuary, and welcome back to another video. So as you can see, what we have sitting before us, we have a pad of paper, we have a pen, and we have a bottle of ink. As you can see by the items sitting in front of us, this is going to be a different sort of video. So I was requested to do this video by Shalene, who once wanted me to demonstrate how to fill and use a fountain pen. Now, I have done a couple of fountain pen videos, like you've seen, if you've watched a couple of my videos, you've seen like my Chicago pen show haul, you've seen, you know, different fountain pen related things that I've gotten and shown on my channel and so forth. So and you will have heard me talk a lot about fountain pens because I absolutely adore fountain pens. And I did do another video probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, you know, really before I kind of started doing the whole coloring thing. Where I was talking about the, I was going to do a fountain pen 101 series, and I kind of did a first part of it where I just kind of talked about fountain pens and gave like a history of them and how they kind of came into being. But we're actually going to look at a fountain pen and kind of show you how to fill it up, and I'll go over some of the parts and stuff. Now, I'm not going to go over every single little thing. If you want to get like really technical, and if you want to hear like about every single part of a fountain pen, you can go over to Brian Goulet's channel over on YouTube. This is the Goulet Pen Company. I'll leave a link in the description section. He has a really good Fountain Pen 101 series over there where he talks about you know, just like different kinds of pens and the greatest thing about a fountain pen and all the different parts of a pen and different pens and stuff and so forth. But anyway, so what we're going to be looking at today, and I mean, I'm going to go through some of that, but I'm not going to get as technical as Brian does. So if you want the whole technical aspect of it, you need to go to his channel and watch his Fountain Pen 101 series because he does a real good job at it. So anyway, we're going to look at the main parts of a fountain pen that you guys might want to be, you know, that will probably concern the majority of you. So anyway, we're going to put the ink and the paper aside, and so we have my Montegrappa Mule. This is a brand new fountain pen that I just got. My husband got this for me, and it's a beauty. Let me just kind of bring it up a little bit closer so we can see it. It's Montegrappa, which is an Italian pen company, and it is a copper color. It is actual copper, and so it will tarnish, and so it will patina. Some people like the patinaed look, but if you don't, then you can just take a soft cloth and kind of polish it up, and that will take it all away. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at the actual parts of a fountain pen. So we're gonna take off this part first, which is the cap. So what we have here is you have this part that screws off, okay, and this is what's going to be called the barrel of the pen. This is your main body of the pen, okay, and so this is what you're going to be kind of, this is going to be like the big oh gosh, what word am I looking for? The substance of your pen, basically. You know, this is what's going to be basically it's the main body of the pen. All right, so when you take off your barrel, inside you are going to see what is called a cartridge converter, and this is what is going to hold your ink. And I have to put this aside so this does not roll everywhere. All right, so this is going to hold, this is what's going to hold your ink. So basically a fountain pen is a pen that contains a how do I word this? A fountain pen is basically a pen that has a self-contained ink supply, and through capillary action, that's what draws the ink to the paper. Capillary action is what draws the ink to the paper through your nib and feed and down to the paper. So a fountain pen is not going to contain like your gel roller ball or anything like that. You actually have to fill this with ink. You can either do it through a bottled ink, and which is what I just showed you, or if you would like, and I'm kind of like every which way on this here, but if you would like, you can actually pop off this converter, and you can, let me just open up my little box here. You can actually, where'd they go here? You can actually use just regular cartridges. Whoop, there we go. You can actually just use regular cartridges if you want. So these are self-contained ink containers. They come already pre-filled with ink. You can use those instead of a converter if you like. But for myself, I like to use a converter because I like to have a choice of ink that I want to use, because cartridges are kind of limited and you don't get as many choices. So I love to use my, my bottled ink. So let's go ahead and get back to the main parts of the pen here. I know I'm kind of scattered every which way, and so we're going to get back at it. All right, as soon as I get my box put away. Yeah, all right, so the converter is what's going to be holding your ink. And so how this works is you would put your, well, I'll go through that when I fill it up, but this is what's going to contain your ink, okay? And to fill it up, you have a screw top right there, and that brings the piston, that moves the piston up and down, and that's what's going to draw your ink up. Again, it's through capillary action, okay? So we're going to put the barrel back on, okay? And this down here is what's going to be called your section. This is what you're going to hold on to as you are writing, okay? So your barrel is going to come away from this section when you take it apart, okay? So this part here is going to be your section. And then this part here, the metal part, is going to be your nib, okay? I hope it's not too blurry. This is going to be your nib, and your nib can be made of, your nib it's made of metal. It can be made of anything from stainless steel all the way on up to gold, or I've even seen some titanium nibs. So the nib part is going to be your more decorative part. So sometimes you're going to see the company's logo on there. This is where the decorative stuff is going to be. So when you turn the pen over, this black part right there is going to be the feed, and that is what's going to supply the ink to the nib. So the ink is going to come down from the pen into the feed, and then it's going to go to the nib so you can write. So if you look at the top part of this nib right here, this is the tipping material, and you always want to have tipping material on your nib, usually because your metal is going to be softer, especially like if it's gold. If you just wrote like with straight gold, that nib is going to wear down. That nib is going to wear down really soon. So the tipping material, you're going to see pretty much like a little ball, and that's going to be made of like some sort of an alloy, like iridium or something like that. So that kind of keeps your nib in good shape, because this is the part that's going to go directly to the paper. Okay, so we're going to put the cap back on. So the cap is just the part that unscrews. It's going to be what hides your nib. And then this part here is the clip, and this is what you can hook your pen onto. Sometimes you will also see some decorative things on the clip, maybe the company's logo. So basically your nib and your clip are going to be the decorative parts. So then over here on the end of the cap, that is your finial, okay? And sometimes, again, you will see some decorative stuff there. And then sometimes you're going to see a band like on the pen, like, you know, like that. It's kind of like a little band. Sometimes you're going to see that on the pen, and that's mainly just like decorative kind of thing too. All right, so that is the main parts of the pen. Again, I didn't go, oh, excuse me, I did not go too technical into it. But if you got any questions, you can always put that in the comment section and ask. And again, you can go to Brian Goulet's channel, and you will see him get very, very technical, because he is a tinkerer and he loves to kind of take things apart and play with them and put them back together and so forth. So anyway, let's go ahead and show you how to fill this baby up, and then I'll show you how it writes. And I'll show you how to write with a fountain pen. So what I have here is I have a bottle of ink. This is Diamine Ancient Copper. Sometimes I like to be all matchy-matchy with my pens, and so I thought Ancient Copper would be a good color for this pen, okay? So when you are filling up your bottle of ink, when you're filling up your pen with your bottle of ink, what I like to do, because this can get a little messy, I tend to take a folded up paper towel, because, you know, in case you have a little spill or something, because this can get messy, and be prepared to get some ink on your fingers. I tend to get ink on my fingers every time I fill up a pen. But if you are one of those that don't like things on your hands, like if you get anxious with when stuff gets on your hands, fountain pens may not be for you, because they are a lot messier than like your gel pens or your ballpoints. Your ballpoints. But they are so worth it. So anyway, we're going to take it apart. I'm going to take off the barrel. And so what I like to do is I'd like to keep my pen from rolling, that's for sure. So what I like to do is, you see the piston here, what I like to do is I like to take it so that you see this part that moves right there, I like to take it so it's all the way down. And then we'll go ahead and fill it up. So we're gonna take off our ink, or take off our cap from our ink. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're going to you're going to dunk your nib in the bottle. Okay. And then I'm hoping that we'll be able to see the converter fill up here. And again, see, look at that. You get ink on your fingers already. Like I said, this can be a messy prospect. So we're just going to put it down in the bottle. So what you're going to do is you're going to, let me see if I can do it this way so that hopefully we can see without me spilling everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to twist this part. And you're going to see that there's some ink in there, but I'm going to twist it back down because sometimes you're going to get air bubbles in this. And to get a complete fill, you're going to have to do this probably like 2 or 3 different times. So I got it pretty much filled up. We're going to do it one more time. And again, I'm just taking it and twisting it back down. And then I'm going to twist it again, and you can kind of see the ink rising in this converter. I'm doing it slow just so that you guys can see it. So we have pretty much a complete fill on it now. So I'm going to put my cap back on my ink so we don't have a disaster. Okay. And then also, see what I mean? Like you get stuff on your fingers. So I mean, fountain pens are a messy prospect. They're not they're so worth it, and the ink will come off your fingers. The ink will come off your fingers. It can get a little bit messy. And I'm just kind of wiping it on my paper towel here. But yeah, I'm gonna have to wash my hands when I'm done, because look at that. Look at that. So then what you want to do, and I kind of had the thing laying on my paper towel. So then what you want to do is you want to kind of clean things up a little bit. What I do is I just kind of wipe off everything on this paper towel. And then I will also wipe off the nib, because you can get extra ink on that nib, and I don't like that. So I kind of like to keep things as clean as I can. I'm just going to clean things up. Okay. So then I'm going to put my barrel back on my pen, and see we have a nice complete fill on this. We're going to put this back on. And then I'm just going to give it just another wipe, just because I do like to kind of keep things cleaned up a little bit. All right, so now it is ready to use. What you also want to make sure that is on the nib part, you have tines, which are like, you see the 2 things on the side. You want to make sure that they are in complete alignment. Otherwise, you're going to get some problems writing with it. Okay, so let me go ahead and put my ink away, and I'll show you how to use this. Okay. All right, put the ink aside, put the paper towel aside. All right, so we're going to grab our Rhodia pad. And, all right. Okay, so I'm going to grab our Rhodia pad, and so let me just show you how to use this thing. Now you can post this pen. Posting your pen just basically means taking the cap off and putting it on the back of the pen. Some people like to do that. It kind of gives it some extra weight if you have kind of a light pen. But with a pen like this, you got to kind of be careful so you don't scrape your copper. So anyway, I generally like to post my pens when I'm doing this. So how this is going to work, let me move that. How this is going to work is how you want to hold your pen like, you know, the regular way that you would hold a pen, you know, just like so. But the magic of this is you don't want to write with your pen like this. You don't want to have your feed facing up. How you write with your pen is you want to have your nib facing you. Make sure that the feed faces the paper and your nib must face you. So let me just kind of show you how this works. Now I am doing this with the visual impairment, so please pardon my head being in the way, but we're going to put the pen to the paper, and we're going to see how this writes. So we're going to say the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And this is very smooth. It writes very nice. Now, if you tried to write with it upside down, let me just kind of show you what happens. You don't want to do it like this. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You can get maybe a little bit out of it, but it just isn't going to work. And it's a little bit hard on your nib. You don't want to write with it sideways. You don't want to do it that way. You want to make sure that your nib is facing up. Make sure that your nib is facing up. You can, some people kind of write like this. Some people kind of hold it off to the side like that, you know. Do it however makes you comfortable. Do it however makes you comfortable, but this is a Montegrappa. Let me just make sure I'm in frame. This is a Montegrappa copper mule. And I believe this is a medium nib. And I have this filled with diamine, or diamine, ancient. Look at how pretty this ink is. Perfect match for this pen, a diamine ancient copper. Okay, so another thing that you also want to remember is with the fountain pen, you do not have to press very hard at all. Like with your roller balls and your ball points, you got to press down way, way hard on that paper. You don't have to do this with a fountain pen. It is, a fountain pen is generally a dream to write with, and you're really not going to go wrong with the fountain pen. Once you get converted to a fountain pen, you are not going to want to go back because they are wonderful. The cons of a fountain pen though, however, again, it can get messy. You know, look at my fingers. Let me zoom out. Let me zoom out again. Okay. So look at my fingers. Look at my fingers, guys. They're filled up with ink. They're filled up with ink. But holy cow, that's close. Let me zoom out. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. I thought I zoomed out all the way. All right, there we go. All right, so yeah, but look at my fingers. Yeah, you had like a little close-up look of my fingers. But anyway, like I said, the cons of a fountain pen is they are higher maintenance. When the pen is dried out, or you know, when the pen runs out of ink, I should say, when the pen runs out of ink, you have to clean it out. You have to flush it with water. That way you can get like all the remaining stuff out of it. You have to make sure that your nibs are in good shape. You also have to, it can get messy, you know, like my fingers, you know, there's some people that have to have their nibs worked on a little bit because sometimes a nib can come kind of scratchy and it just needs like a little bit of work. So the fountain pens basically are higher maintenance. You know, you're going to pay quite a bit more for a fountain pen than you would like your Bic stick, you know, because they're not disposable. You have to get the You have to get the supplies for them, like you have to get either cartridges or you have to get ink in some form. Make sure when you're buying ink that it is for fountain pens. You do not want to put India ink in your fountain pens because you will ruin it. It will gum up the works and you will totally ruin your fountain pen if you put India ink in it because it is too thick to go through a fountain pen properly. A fountain pen ink is made up generally of water and dye, you know, which gives you your ink color, but it is a water-based ink. Whereas India ink, I think there's a lot more dye or something in it. So make sure that you get the right formula of ink, you know, before you stick it in your fountain pen. You know, just be very aware of that. If you don't want to buy bottles of ink, there's places that sell ink samples in little containers. If you go to, again, gouletpens.com or andersonpens.com, I'll try to leave those links in the description section. If you go to those websites, you can find ink samples, and then it gives you like maybe a fill and a half for a pen, and you can decide if you like that ink enough to want to get an entire bottle of it. Some people live the sampling life and that's all they get is samples. And that's perfectly fine because, you know, let's face it, samples are a lot cheaper than getting full bottles of ink. I have many, many samples. If you want to see some of my ink samples, let me know. I can drag some of them out and I'll show that to you. If you want to see a vintage fountain pen, now this is more of a modern fountain pen, ergo the cartridge converter, but if you want to see more of a vintage fountain pen and how that works, let me know, because I can certainly drag some of them out and we can look at those. So the pros of a fountain pen is it writes like a dream. Nothing writes like a fountain pen. You have to make sure that you write on some paper that'll take it pretty well, because like this is the Rhodia pad and it is very, very fountain pen friendly. If you tried to write like on a Mead tablet or something, it's going to bleed through like crazy. So you have to kind of be a little bit mindful of the paper you're using. You have to get the right kind of ink to put in it, whether it be cartridges or ink, you know, bottled ink like that. It can get messy. But the pros, again, it just writes like a dream. You have so many choices of ink, and I mean, they're beautiful pens. It's just a beautiful, beautiful writing experience when you're talking fountain pens. So anyway, I hope that is helpful. I hope that is helpful a little bit. If you want to see anything else like this, if you have any other questions, or if you want like more fountain pen tutorials, let me know, because we can certainly do that. We can show you more pens and how they work, and more ink and how that works, and so forth. So like I said, I hope this was helpful. Go ahead and give this a big thumbs up if you like this video. You can share this video, of course. Subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos like this. Normally I do mostly coloring videos, some planner stuff, journal stuff, and the occasional fountain pen stuff, but we can incorporate more fountain pen stuff in there if you like. Subscribe to the channel, and while you are doing that, hit the bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Leave a comment, tell me what you think. You all have a great day, and we will see you in the next video. Okay, bye my little goldies.